Welcome to a period of lying down yoga. We're going to be using this time to work with different movements, mainly lying down. And through the movement and the poses, we cultivate mindfulness in terms of being connected, listening and observing our bodies, and deepening our concentration and our focus as a result of this. So this is going to be different to the usual or the typical yoga sessions. This is not a contest. This is not about assuming perfect aligned poses or being correct in any way. We will have different poses that will be introduced, and we use the poses to bring attention, to become aware of our bodies in movement and in different positions and poses. There's no good, no bad, no right, no wrong. Now, of course, this thing about self-care is important to highlight. If there's any past injuries, sprains, or strains, just acknowledging that. So, this is not an invitation. And remember, this is not a race to push yourself beyond any limits. But of course, if there's an opportunity to bring wisdom, to wisely practice at your fringes about what's possible without just resting in our comfort zone, I think that's important to note as well. And so along the practice, you may start to discover what you can and cannot do, and some judgment it may start coming in with expectations and even expectations and anticipation. And that's part of the practice. So beyond physical sensations that you will start to notice, certainly the mind will start to produce activity. Right? You'll start to think, you'll start to label, you may start to think that you like this, you don't like this, you want to be doing something else, or restlessness, or you love it, very pleasant. Taking all of it in. This is part of your practice. All right, so let's get right into it. So, wherever you are, inviting you to assume a position lying down. If you have a yoga mat on the floor, that would be great. If not, the bed, or even if you choose to be standing or seated, that's completely fine as well. And if for any reason physically and you don't feel comfortable in any way following the instructions or assuming the poses, that's completely fine as well. But if you like to follow along as best you can, one option that can be available is to close your eyes and to use your imagination in some form of visualization, to imagine your body in that posture or assuming that posture. Okay. And if none of them feels comfortable, if you want to be sitting here or lying down in silence, connecting with yourself, being in the moment, practicing being present, that's completely fine as well. All right. So when you're ready, coming into a lying down, what we call a Datesman's position. All right. So face up, hands along the side freely, extending from your shoulders. Your legs are straight, extending from your hips away from your body. I'm just taking this opportunity to breathe. Well, you are breathing, so taking this opportunity to know that you're breathing, to connect with your breath, to flow with the breath. As the breath arrives through your nose or your mouth, flowing into the lungs, and all the different sensations that's arising as a result of connecting with your breath. And certainly, if there's movement that you're noticing of how the breath arrives and moves in your body, perhaps the rising and the falling of the belly, almost like waves along the seashore, rising and falling with some rhythm, with some flow. And so, being with the breath, being with yourself, being with just this moment, one breath at a time. And bring our attention now, letting it rest with our hands and our palms by the side of your body. When you're ready, breathing in and lifting both your hands up in front of you into a vertical position, floating it up, pointing towards the ceiling. Palms are facing each other, fingers pointing towards the ceiling, and noticing the angles that the hands are making with the body. So for some of us, maybe a 90-degree. And from there, if you want to slowly stretch towards the ceiling with your fingers, introducing some length to your hands. And from there, or continue to move your fingers and your hands away from your feet, coming to the floor, and your hands are resting on the floor along your ears. And so now you're in a long position. Your hands are by the side along your ears. And if you like, you want to stretch a little more, you can start to point your fingers in the opposite direction of your feet, feeling into the length of this posture, the tension arising, the sensations along the side of your torso. And when you're ready, releasing the stretch and slowly lifting your hands back up towards the ceiling. Pausing there for a second and releasing, lowering your hands back down towards the side of your body. Connecting with your breath, resetting your presence with yourself. And now inviting us to move both our knees, pointing both our knees towards the ceiling. So what you can do is you can bring both your feet closer towards your buttocks, and in doing so your knees starts to point towards the ceiling, and your hands, you can slowly float it to the side away from your body, almost making 90 degrees with your main body, and both your left and the right hands are pointing in the opposite direction. And we're going to start to do some pelvic tilt. And what we need to do is we keep our hips grounded on the floor, our tailbone on the floor, connected with the yoga mat. And we're going to slowly start pressing our belly into the floor and our lower back pressing against the floor. And so you can start to notice the activation in your core, pushing yourself into the floor, your lower back, if there's any gaps, as best as you can, into the floor, closing the distance, increasing the pressure, but of course within safe limits. If you have any injuries, being gentle and seeing if this works for you. Breathing into the stretch, and on the next out breath, releasing the stretch and the movement and the pressure. And now going in the opposite direction when you're comfortable. So while keeping your tailbone and your hips grounded, now you want to be almost having your belly button being pulled vertically up towards the ceiling. And in doing so, you start to notice an arch in your lower back. Increasing that arch by arching your back and pulling your belly button towards the ceiling. Increasing the pressure and deciding for you what is that wise range of movement that's possible for you. While maintaining your hips on the floor, your shoulders, your upper shoulders on the floor, and noticing the arch that is being made as a result of this. Breathing into the stretch, and when you're ready, releasing with the next out breath. allowing the belly to be released and coming to a neutral position. Connecting with your breath freely, taking in, letting things be, letting things go. Wherever your mind is. So noticing that certainly with sensations, the mind can start to wander and starts to do other things. And if you realize that that's happening, choosing to return to your practice, returning to your body, returning to follow the instructions as best as you can. And from this, we move on. So let's bring both our knees towards our chest while we are lying down. And if it's helpful, wrapping your hands around just below your knees. And notice what happens when you pull with your hands, bringing both your knees closer to your chest. Noticing the sensations arising again in your lower back. And if you like, you can slowly start to rock, but gently without losing your equilibrium and your balance to the left and to the right. And noticing how that has an effect on your lower back, the muscles and the tension, and using your own body weight and gravity, pressing into your lower back. And some of you may find this relaxing and easing of the tension. If you want to start to make circles with your knees in a clockwise direction or in an anti-clockwise direction, so moving. Or if you want to also continue to work by bringing both your knees towards your chest. And if you like, slowly while protecting your neck, so maintaining a strong core, lifting your head off the floor, bringing your forehead towards your knees. Crunching in, maintaining that safe exertion, pulling your forehead up and towards the knees, both your knees, crunching in, and slowly on the next out breath, releasing the head, just being mindful of the tension along the sides of your neck, and so maintaining that good and safe exertion. Yeah. So from here, with our hands wrapping around both our knees, let's just release our left leg. We'll still wrap our hands around our right leg, and so our left leg becomes horizontal, straightening it. And now we work on one side of the body, the right side, and so we continue to pull our right knee towards our chest with our hands wrapped around just below our knees. And if you like, you can also start to make circles with your right knee, sort of working and seeing the sensations arising in your hip socket on the right side. The tension, the ligaments and the tendons in this area. If you want to go in a clockwise circle, that's fine. If you want to switch directions, just noticing the movement and the work. Breathing in and out, staying in touch, not forgetting to breathe. And in a similar fashion, okay, so when you're ready, working with the breath, bringing your forehead towards your right knee. Crunching in as best as you can, maintaining and not overdoing the tension of the neck. And if it's a bit too much, you can just lower it. That's completely fine. No need to push yourself and overwhelm yourself with pain. Alright. Okay, when you're ready, you can bring your head down and switching legs now. So releasing the right knee. And when you're ready, bringing your left knee towards your chest, wrapping your hands just below your left knee. And if you like, Okay, similar fashion, making circles with your left knee in a clockwise direction. And in an anti-clockwise direction as well. And when you're ready, bring your your forehead towards your left knee. Noticing what part of the body is called into action to hold yourself in this position. And slowly releasing the head first and then the left knee. Coming back to a Datesman's position, so your legs are now back to its extension from the hips away from your body, and your hands are by the side. And now we're going to flip around into what we call a tabletop position, so going onto our hands and our knees facing down. Yeah. Okay, so we will be rotating, so turning around to the left or to the right side, and doing this with awareness, with care about how we are moving in order to shift to this new position. So we are facing down. Our hands are, our palms are firmly planted on the floor. They're shoulder width apart. Our back, noticing the lines that the head, the back of the head through the neck to the back, whether they're horizontal, and just noticing what the body is doing. Your knees are just beneath. If we draw a line, it's just directly below your hips. Breathing into this position. So we're going to do a couple of what we call cat and cow poses. And so as we breathe in, on the next in breath, we start to round our back towards the ceiling, pulling the belly up, the belly button up towards the ceiling, rounding our back, and bringing our chin towards our chest. Rounding our back as much as we can, introducing that tension. And on the next out breath, releasing and now going in the opposite direction. So we are arching our back, we're pulling our belly button down towards the floor and releasing the head. Now we're looking up in front of you and above towards the ceiling at an angle if that's possible. And now going the opposite direction. So now we round our back, so we pull our belly towards the ceiling. We bring our chin towards our chest, noticing the height along our back. And now on the next out breath, releasing and going in the opposite direction. So pulling our belly button towards the floor, arching our back, and looking up with our head in front of our head, something on the ceiling. And releasing, coming back to a neutral tabletop position. And just connecting with yourself, noticing how the body is doing and what's coming up for you just this moment. And we're going to go into a balance pose, okay, what we call a Superman pose. And so again, with wise care, staying safe, and if you need to take support from a chair or any props around you, or simply just putting your hands on the floor, completely fine. All right, so we're going to be working with our left leg first. So just extending our left leg, straightening our left leg, and keeping our left foot on the floor, the toes connected to the floor for now. And when you're ready, with your left leg straightened, lifting your left leg off the floor, bringing it into a horizontal position. pointing your left toes away from your body. And when you are ready, with your right hand, lifting your right hand off the floor and extending your right hand in front of you into a horizontal position, away from in the opposite direction of your left feet, making yourself as long as possible and noticing the work, the effort to maintain this position and staying in and out of balance. And of course, again, if this is too much, bringing your hands down or your legs down, whatever works for you. And when you're ready, coming back, releasing your right hand and your left leg. Coming back to tabletop position. And we'll now go in the opposite direction. So let's work with our right leg now, extending our right leg, straightening it, but keeping our right toes on the floor for now, step by step. And when you're ready, lifting your right leg straight and into a horizontal position, pointing your right toes away from your body. Seeing the activation in your hips, on your hamstrings. When you're ready, now with your left hand, slowly lifting your left hand off the floor and straightening your left hand, bringing it into a horizontal position. Left hand pointing in the opposite direction as your right toes, making yourself as long as possible. And when you're ready, noticing the experience of being in and out of balance and bringing that fresh curiosity, that open mind to experiencing this posture in its fullness. Releasing the left hand, releasing the right leg, coming back to tabletop. Breathing, catching your breath. And we're going to slowly transit back to a lying down position, face up, and taking care in how you move and transit. We're going to do some bridge pose and some torso twists while we're lying down. And so as we settle down, lying down, face up, hands by the side of your body, we can bring both our knees towards the ceiling, so pointing both our knees. Both our feet are side by side and they are closer to the buttocks. And on the next in-breath, we're going to slowly, gently, again with care and tightening your core and protecting your lower back, especially for those with injuries. Okay, on the next in-breath, you're going to start to lift your hips off the floor. Noticing the tension in your hamstrings, perhaps, or your glutes or your buttocks. Okay, and activating your core so that you're strong, you're stable. Not forgetting to breathe. Of course, there'll be some exertion. Right, that's part of the practice, staying with it as much as you can. And of course, if there's any mental activities, connecting with it and welcoming them all. All right, breathing in and breathing out. And on the next out breath, releasing, slowly dropping your lower back first, almost vertebrae, the spine, each part slowly closing and allowing it to come back to the floor, and the hips coming back to the floor. So we'll do this one more time, the bridge pose. So as you breathe in, on the next in-breath, slowly lifting your hips off the floor. Almost like something pulling your tailbone vertically towards the ceiling. Noticing the tightness and the stability around your lower back around your abdominals and your core. Noticing the intensity in your hamstrings, in your glutes, in your buttocks. And on the next out breath, slowly releasing, coming back to earth. Spine closing onto the floor, hips back onto the floor. We'll do some twisting movement with our bodies now. So extending our hands away from our bodies to the side in the opposite direction. And knees together, feet together. And we're going to drop both our knees to the right side. That torso twist. So as a guide, your right knee, the outer part of your right knee drops to the right side towards the floor. Your left knee should be stacked on top of your right knee. And notice how your right hip goes to the side as well. And then your left hip on the side goes up. And if you like a deeper stretch, your head can start turning to the opposite direction, so to the left side. Feeling into the stretch along the side on the left side, from the shoulders, your armpits, your lower back, of course, and your left hip. Breathing into this part of the body, into the tension, into the stretch, breathing into the exertion. And on the next out breath, releasing, coming back, bringing both your knees up, pointing towards the ceiling. Catching your breath. And on the next in breath, going in the opposite direction now. So knees and feet together. So your left knee, the outer part of your left knee now drops onto the floor. Your right knee is on top of your left knee. Feeling that stretch on the right side, along your hip area, along the hip bone. And if you want, you can turn your head towards the opposite direction, so the right side, away from your knees. Feeling into that stretch. In the same way, breathing into the stretch. And when you're ready, coming back, releasing the knees, both knees coming back up, pointing towards the ceiling. Catching your breath. Slowly opening up the both feet, so not exactly side by side, the shoulder width apart now, or hip width apart, both your feet. And we're going to move into the next pose. So keeping our left knee pointed towards the ceiling, we are going to be working with our right leg now. So with our right knee bent, we can slowly bring the right knee towards our body. And as we do so, we straighten our right knee so that our right leg becomes straight and as best as possible in a vertical position. Okay, so our right heel is facing the ceiling as much as possible. And if you want, you can use your hands for support, wrapping both your hands on your hamstrings or on your calf, but not on your shin, not on your knees, to protect your right knee. Okay, so perhaps on the hamstrings, pulling it in, straightening your right leg as best as you can. The angles that is being made, observing it and playing around. So if you want to bring your right leg as straight as possible, closer towards you or away from your body, just playing around and see what works for you. And of course, certainly the exertion and the intensity that's arising on your hamstrings, on your glutes, and the effort that the muscles and the ligaments are being called to maintain this position. Taking a deep breath now, and as you breathe, Bringing your forehead, again protecting your neck, bringing your forehead towards your right knee as best as you can, crunching in, noticing how the abdominals and the lower back is working, the hamstrings as well. And slowly, as you release your breath, release your head first back to the floor, and slowly bending your right knee and releasing your right foot back onto the floor. So both knees are now pointed towards the ceiling, coming back to its original position. Catching your breath, and now we'll do the opposite side. So your left leg, keeping your right knee pointed at an angle. And so we're going to start to straighten our left leg and bringing our left heel towards the ceiling by straightening our left leg and using our hands to wrap it along the left hamstring. Yeah, feeling the length of the left leg, the muscles, the hamstrings, how the lower back is compressed and feeling the pressure onto the floor. As you breathe in, slowly supporting and bringing your forehead towards your left knee. Crunching in, noticing the abdominals at work, the core, the lower back, the hips, the hamstrings. And as you release the next breath, lowering your head back to the floor, bending your left knee, and dropping your left foot back onto the floor. Feet hip width apart, both knees pointing towards the ceiling. Catching your breath. And we're going to do some movements, some poses on the sides of our bodies now. And so while we are face up, we're going to turn our bodies and to rest on the side of our bodies. And we'll start with our left side. So rolling to the left side and with care. So you're now resting on the side of your body on your left side and taking care on your neck as well. And so you want to use your left hand as a prop to serve almost like a pillow if that works for you, or your left palm supporting your left ear, giving support to your head. Your right hand can be on the floor in front of you, sort of giving you that extra support as well if you find yourself rolling into the floor or falling back to where you came from. Okay, so maintaining that balance on the side of your body, on the left side. Both legs are straight. Your right leg is on your left leg. And we're now going to slowly extend. We're going to lift our right leg while keeping it straight towards the ceiling. So almost something pulling your outer right ankle, the bone, towards the ceiling. So your left leg is horizontal on the floor and your right leg slowly floats up, starting to make a bigger angle between your left and your right leg. Both legs straight. And noticing the work along the side of your hips, especially your right hip and your right buttocks and your gluteus, to hold yourself in this position. And also the other parts of your body to maintain balance on the side of your body. And slowly now releasing the right leg, slowly back onto the left leg. And when you're ready, rolling over, going opposite to the right side now. So taking this with care as you roll around. Again, making sure your head is supported, whether you're resting on your right hand now, so almost like a pillow, or you're propping your head up with your right palm in support and your right elbows on the floor. Your left hand can be on the floor as well in front of you to help you with the balance so that you don't roll in front or to the back. Okay, and your left leg, both your legs are straight, left leg on top of the right leg. And when you're ready, on the in-breath, pulling your left ankle, the outer left ankle towards the ceiling, keeping your left leg straight and your right leg grounded. Increasing that angle, that range, or finding what works and what doesn't work for you as well. And in the same way, noticing all the work required to stay in balance. And when you're ready, slowly floating your left leg back, stacking it on top of your right leg, catching your breath. And when you're ready, rolling in front of you, so you want to come back into a lying face down position. Hands by the side of your body. And if your head feels uncomfortable or even strained, so you want to tilt it to the right, facing to the right side or the left side, or propping it up with your hands if that works. So finding the position that works for you. So no unnecessary pain here, and not overstretching anything. Alright. And allow your body to rest, to connect, and to almost dissolve into the floor, allowing the weight to take over. And noticing the breath. So because of the position, you start to see how the lungs are expanding, or even the heart beating. And we're going to do some work with our hips and our back muscles now. So face down, hands by the side. Legs are straight, extending out from your body. And we'll work with our right leg first. And so while you're keeping your left leg grounded to the floor and your upper body grounded to the floor, as you breathe in on the next in-breath, slowly while you keep your right leg straight, lifting your right leg off the floor, suspending it a couple of inches. And again, that distance, that inches is completely up to you. Just a little bit or a little bit more, completely up to you. Yeah. And noticing the work and the tension in your body, whether it's growing, it's getting smaller, the regions of your specific part that is really working to maintain this position. And certainly your breath, perhaps increasing in pace or whatnot. And now releasing the right leg, slowly floating it back onto the floor. And going the opposite direction now. So the left leg. So keeping your right leg grounded on the floor. And when you're ready, while your left leg is straight, floating it just a couple of inches off the floor. Finding that distance, that height that works for you. Feeling into your lower back, feeling into your hamstrings and your buttocks, and noticing the work, the activation. And slowly releasing the left leg back onto the floor. We're going to do what we call an airplane pose, right? So we're going to shift our attention to our upper body and our chest. Our hands are by the side of our body. And again, with care, so you want to make sure We protect our lower backs by activating our core and our abdominals. And as we breathe in, if you are feeling comfortable, you can slowly lift your chest just a few inches off the floor. Head off the floor, chest just a little bit off the floor. And if you like a deeper stretch or a deeper exertion, you can also start to lift both your legs a couple of inches off the floor, whatever works for you. And so you're almost just balancing on the core of your body. The work, the shaking, the falling in and out of balance, just taking note of all of these experiences and sensations. You're releasing the chest, releasing the legs, coming back face down. And slowly, gently, just inviting everyone to turn around. So maintaining coming to a lying down position, but face up now, back to where we started. As we look up, if you're comfortable closing your eyes, hands by the side of your body, comfortable, legs extending out from your body. And imagining a hole at the top of your head where it receives your breath. And as the breath comes in through the top of your head, allowing it to flow from head through your body, through your head, your upper body, your hands, your abdominals, your core, your hips, to your upper leg, to your knees, your lower leg, your ankles, your feet, and almost another hole at the bottom of your feet, and the air flowing out. And as the air breathes, flushing stuff in your body. And with the hole on the bottom of your feet, in the same way, the air coming in through the bottom, flowing through your body from toe to head, and coming out from this imaginary hole at the top of your head. And allowing the breath to flow freely from head to toe, from toe to head. And you can start to find that it's almost like you're doing a body scan, scanning your body with your breath. And you may start to encounter various experiences, various sensations, tension even. If anything that's becoming apparent, that's calling your attention, breathing into that particular region of your body. Breathing in, and flowing out. Allowing your entire body to breathe. Allow your entire body to illuminate. As the breath comes in, flows out, and it comes in and flows out, moment to moment. Allowing yourself to sink just a little closer, just a little deeper into the floor as you breathe. And this way, flowing in, flowing out, sinking deeper and deeper into the floor, releasing your weight, releasing yourself, dissolving yourself into the floor. And as we come to the end of this practice, just taking this time to acknowledge and to even congratulate yourself for committing this time to this practice. Whether you're stretching, you're exerting, or even finding this as an exercise, all part of your practice, a formal practice to become fully alive, fully connected, being with your body, your mind, and certainly with your heart as well. Befriending yourself. Being yourself. Just this moment. Just this breath.